Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year again. Bitcoin conference. Bitcoin is at 90 today. We're back in the 90s. Fiat leak. January 2nd, 90,328. Bitcoin is now trading live at 90,328 on the second day of 2026. Bitcoin treasuries, MicroStrategy, their stock crashed, but they've got the biggest basket, the biggest bag of Bitcoin of any publicly traded company, of any publicly disclosed individual. 672,497 Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, or they changed their name to Strategy, run by a group of people, Michael Saylor being the leader of that strategy. And he's been collecting Bitcoins in the last 5 years, probably last 4 years, nearly 5 years now, and has 672,000 Bitcoin. And today we are seeing Bitcoin back in the 90s. We had the opportunity to get in on the dip. This is Charlene live on the radio. We are 88.5 FM, the smart beat with Charlene, your smart radio host, live on the radio, 88.5 FM, the smart beat. And I'm so excited to bring you some information. So, what's happening now that we have the entire silver and base metals, core metals, industrial metals, precious metals off the charts? I mean, it's crazy, but I'm looking here at Yahoo Finance, and I'm telling you, this is going to be crazy. Silver was trading at, I think, over $100 in Japan. It was $135 an ounce in Japan. China was, nearly $100. We are seeing a shift. China has basically banned all export of silver out of the country. So if you want silver and you want to get it from China, you're going to have to go through the Chinese government directly through the Chinese government. The silver market is off the charts, folks. The industrial metals is off the charts. Bitcoin is off the chart. Everybody's looking to a flight to safety coming out of the let's just say coming out of the weekend, coming out of the new year. There is a massive movement towards silver, gold, Bitcoin. The tried and true Tesla took another hit today. Again, I'm looking at, let me see my charts here before I give you wrong numbers. So I follow a few stocks. Tesla is one of them. So they had a $11 dip today, 3.5% down. Silver is doing great if you actually have the metals. If you have investments in a silver trust or a mutual fund or ETF, you probably did a little bit better today. But the second day of January, we have Bitcoin up. Bitcoin was up the first day, and Bitcoin is up the second day. I think we're seeing this movement back, heading over into this first week of 2026. Looks good for Bitcoin. The other crypto coins are trailing, but Bitcoin, everything is up. Ethereum is up. A bunch of other coins are up. XRP is up. Come on, guys. This is, if you're not familiar with what's going on, is the old currency, the old guard is changing over to the new guard in terms of the whole financial sector, the whole financial markets. And that's why I bring this information to you. Thank you for tuning in. This is Charlene on the radio, and I am here to give you the latest information and give you some like just some background of what's happening in the financial markets. If you're investing, if you're in real estate, I don't do too much on real estate. I focus on AI, crypto, Bitcoin, and the financial markets. So thank you for tuning in again, my friends. This is Charlene live on the radio, 88.5 FM, coming to you from the radio station that I'm set. You know what? I have so much things I want to cover on the radio, but let me try to keep focus on the Bitcoin for a second. What is Bitcoin? So if you're tuning in and you hear about Bitcoin, everybody's talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a digital currency. There are 21 different features that I cover about Bitcoin. Like, what is Bitcoin? What is it's not just a currency. Bitcoin is a technology. So a lot of the banking systems that we're used to, they use some kind of a technology in the background. That used to be the Swift system. So what's happening now that Bitcoin is 17 years, tomorrow will be the birthday of Bitcoin, 17 years in circulation since the first Bitcoin, that was 2009. That technology is called blockchain. The Bitcoin is the coin, which is also the token for the Bitcoin blockchain. And the blockchain is a network of computers worldwide. You can download this software code and you can run the Bitcoin node. You can mine Bitcoin. You can support the network. So the network is just a bunch of computers, right? There's no CEO, there's no company. Anybody in the whole world can be contribute to mining Bitcoin, or participate, I should say, in become part of a pool. You can set up pools, or you can just download the code and start mining yourself. But it's a trend, or it's kind of more customary to mine with other people or be part of a pool, so that you might not earn a Bitcoin, but if you're part of a pool, when that pool earns Bitcoin from mining, they share the reward with the other members of the pool. It's kind of like a partner plan for those of you in the Caribbean. Everybody gets a part of it. Everybody pulls together with their computer and their network, and their software will share the winnings if you were awarded a block of Bitcoin. The reward for Bitcoin is called a block, and that is split up between many people. Now, so today, Bitcoin trading at 90,000 US dollars. If a pool earned one Bitcoin today, they could split that up with everybody who's part of that pool, right? Sometimes you don't pools don't always earn Bitcoin blocks for the new blocks that comes out from the network, but the pools also support the network by keeping the system going, keeping the network active all across the world. And that is another way of earning small satoshis, or small denominations of Bitcoin. So you might not get a whole Bitcoin, just as you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin if you want to buy Bitcoin. That's another way to have Bitcoin. You can mine Bitcoin, or you can buy Bitcoin, but you don't always have to do a whole coin or a whole Bitcoin. You could put $10 worth, you could put $100 worth in a wallet. Or if you're mining Bitcoin, sometimes you don't get a whole block. You don't get a whole Bitcoin. You get satoshis, which are the small denominations of Bitcoin. Maybe you earn 10 or $100 or $1,000, whatever fraction of that pool that you're participating, that is carved out for you, depending on how many computers you're running, depending on how many other people are in that pool. So there's a lot of ways to a lot of things to cover in Bitcoin. It's not just a currency. Oh, Bitcoin is 90,000. There's a lot to understand about Bitcoin. And so with 88.5 FM, myself, Charlene, your host, and the Smart Beat on 88.5 FM, I want to take you through this journey throughout this year, learning little tidbits about Bitcoin. So I hope you get to understand that Bitcoin is not just a currency, it's more than that. First of all, it's a technology and it runs on a blockchain that is operated globally, and you can participate and hook up your computer to it and become part of a pool and earn Bitcoin through Bitcoin mining. And so one of the things that I'm setting up in Turks and Caicos is Bitcoin mining on the boat. We have Caicos Lifestyle is one of our partners. They have a private charter. So Caicos Lifestyle operating in Turks and Caicos, Florida, Jamaica, all across the Caribbean. You can take the boat anywhere you want. If you want to get on a private charter, and they know the Caribbean Sea and the whole Gulf of America, I would say. Now if you want to get on a private yacht and go and hang out with your friends, it's the Caicos Lifestyle. They have one yacht that can host 25 guests, and our other partners have smaller boats and bigger boats. So if you want to get on a smaller boat, maybe 10 people or 8 people, that's fine too. There's no if you want to take it by yourself, you can charter the boat by yourself, but we have a max capacity license for 25 people on this particular Caicos Lifestyle private yacht charter. Here is the number to dial. While you get your number brain ready to take the phone number, I'm going to set up Bitcoin mining on the boat because we have a lot of energy, and that's what I'm going to talk about next when it comes to Caicos Lifestyle private yacht charter. Here's the number to book your private charter: 649-441-8805. Now, I spend a lot of time on this particular yacht. I'm just a pretty girl on board. I can't even swim, but so don't be like asking me to help you with your snorkeling or swimming or whatever you want to do, fishing on the boat. I am the dry person on board. Okay, whenever I'm on there, I am the dry person. But you can snorkel, you can go island hopping, you could go to a private beach. Once you charter Caicos Lifestyle yachts or their fleet or our partners' fleets, they take you anywhere. If you want to go to another island, we can take you there. If you want to go between the US and the Caribbean, we can take you there. This is the best. This is the life that Bitcoiners like. So we accept Bitcoin, we accept all the crypto, the top crypto coins, and regular payments. But if you want to get in, I think it's probably all booked out, almost booked out for January, because that's the season when everybody wants to go places. But call and try to get in. We have half day tours, 4-hour tours. We have full day tours. We have overnight tours. You can take the private yacht for a whole week. 649-441-8805. Now, I'm putting together the Bitcoin mining on the yacht. So I've come up with a term called Yatoshi. So we're going to be earning Satoshis on our yacht, hence Yatoshis. So if you want to come and see how Bitcoin mining can be done, the thing is, when you have a boat and you take it out to sea, we run a generator, right? We've got to keep lights on, music, Bluetooth, television, air conditioning, and we're cooking. We've got the oven running, making potatoes. Oh my goodness, frying, deep fried. What is it? Chicken tenders, and on the grill in the back, hooking up the beef kebabs, shrimp kebabs, chicken. jerk chicken, all of that's happening on the boat. So we're using a lot of energy. But guess what? We have excess energy. We still have a lot more energy from our diesel generator that keeps the boat in operation. So we're starting to mine Bitcoin with that excess energy, because once you flip that generator on, that diesel generator, you're outputting, we have a 16 kW generator, right? And the captain's got to run all these things, but we're not even half the capacity of the generator. So if we have 16 kW, and let's say we're using 6 kW at any given point, that's 10 kW of wasted energy. We're still burning diesel, we're still running all the other stuff. So we're going to add Bitcoin to capture that excess energy and store the value of the energy. So think about Bitcoin like, if you're running the Bitcoin and you're using electricity, every other process that we're doing when we use electricity, we're just consuming energy, right? But with Bitcoin, the energy that's consumed by the Bitcoin computers on the network is actually storing the value of that energy. So there's nothing else in the world that stores the value of the energy it consumes. I mean, like fat people, right? You're basically storing all the energy you're consuming. That's why you get fat. So each of us, like myself, you got a little chunky. You're basically running like a Bitcoin. You're a Bitcoin node because you're consuming the energy and you're storing that energy in your fat cells and getting chunky. But I mean, in the Caribbean, girls with the big booty, of course, they got to nurture that part of the body and all. But anyways, let me digress. Let me get back to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, it stores the value of the energy it consumes, and that's where you get 90,000 US dollar for one Bitcoin, because all the computers around the world, think about, you go to like a buffet, you go to like, what is it, Chinese buffet or one of those big buffets in the US, or on these resorts, they just have a lot of food, a cruise ship buffet, right? Everything is there. Okay. And all of that is being consumed by these computers, right? And now all of that goes into the value. That's where the 90,000 for one Bitcoin comes from. It's the energy all around the world, like a giant buffet, collecting all that food, storing all that food. So whenever you hear about Bitcoin mining, think about the energy that's running those computers, and that's where Bitcoin gets its value from. So the more, some people are saying, oh, it's not a good time to go into mining. That is the worst thing you could ever say, because mining Bitcoin can never be too much. You understand? The more computers, the more people mine Bitcoin, the new people coming to mine Bitcoin actually adds to the value. So you're not missing out on, oh, I didn't start mining Bitcoin 17 years ago when Bitcoin started, or 10 years ago when in 2017 when Bitcoin really blew up, or 2013, or whatever year. Oh, I know somebody who had Bitcoin 10 years ago. Don't worry about the past. We are now able to, back then you had to have a lot of computer networking skills and software skills, and you had to be like some guy in the basement, in his grandma basement running these computers. Now you have major corporations, publicly traded companies, holding Bitcoins, mining Bitcoin on a mass scale, but you still have individuals and small pools of people mining Bitcoin as well. Anybody in the whole world can mine Bitcoin. I think now I saw on Amazon like a little device. Let's say you have a tablet. They have tablet size Bitcoin miners. They have cell phone size Bitcoin miners. They have Bitcoin miners that are just mining by sticking a storage drive in your existing computer, and that little storage drive that you stick in a memory card, a memory stick. can be mining Bitcoin. So we've come 17 years of technology has brought Bitcoin to the masses. So not only can you buy Bitcoin from a person who already mined Bitcoin and is selling Bitcoin through an exchange, through a wallet, you can mine your own Bitcoin. And that's what we're going to be doing on our yacht. Private yachts in the Caribbean are going to be mining a Bitcoin. And it's not just one yacht. Once we get the concept in operation and the proof of concept, it's nothing to prove, right? Proof of work. Basically, we just plug in the machine or the miner or the device. We're going to get some small ones, maybe the size of a cell phone or size of a tablet, so that people can see when they book and come on the private yacht with Keika's Lifestyle. When you book, you'll be able to see it. We'll have it right there next to the TV, right there in the galley. Everything will be set up and everybody can watch Bitcoin being mined. And maybe one day we'll earn a whole block. Who knows? We'll join a pool, and I've got some partners and people who have heard me talk about this, and they want to invest, they want to participate, they want to be a part of it. So if you want to be part of the Bitcoin mining in the Caribbean, in Turks and Caicos, you want to be part of 88.5 FM, the beat mining operation, you need a call or text. I keep saying call because I have call written on the website, but text me 649-441-8805. 649-441-8805. 88.5 FM, The Beat. This is Charlene broadcasting live on the radio. Now, let me get back into some other topics. So we've talked about some of the basics and some of the techie stuff about Bitcoin. Now, the four things that I would suggest you look into. You want to look into silver. You want to look into investing in silver, collecting silver, mining Bitcoin, collecting Bitcoin. Look into AI companies, companies that are making AI, companies that are publicly traded companies on the stock exchange or the ETF markets. Talk to your broker. Let them know, listen, I want to invest or explore potential in these new technologies, because I think for the last 5-10 years, a lot of brokers have been hands off. They've not told their clients about Bitcoin. They've not told their clients about, they basically actually actively dissuaded their clients from investing in these new technologies. So I'm not saying go out and buy or put your money in this or put your money in that. I'm saying investigate it, learn about it, so that you're not left behind. You know what happens to minorities or people of color, or people outside the techie elite class? We're always behind with technology. We're consumers of technology. We're not trained. Our parents didn't teach us about investing in future technology. Yeah, some of them go belly up. Some things go bust, but most of the time, you have technologies that we're the last. How many of you invest in Tesla? How many of you invested in Amazon? How many of you invested in Google? How many of you invested in eBay, PayPal? How many of you invested in Apple? How many of you have a Motorola phone, but you never invested in Motorola? How many of you use T-Mobile, but you never invested in T-Mobile? How many of you are using an Android phone, but you never invested in Samsung? You're just consuming their products, but you're not participating on the receiving end of that revenue cycle, that revenue change. So you're paying what, $50 a month for cell phone service. Maybe investing $5 into the company that's supplying your cell phone service. How many of you have an Apple computer? Or how many of you have a Microsoft computer? Do you own any Microsoft stocks? Have you ever invested in Microsoft, the corporation? Bill Gates is a billionaire because he's taking your money every month. And there's a lot of other millionaires, not even, okay, let's just say thousandaires. You want to have $1,000 in some stocks somewhere, US dollar, whatever currency you're using. You want to put a few. Oh, I know when you guys you get your money, you go out and you buy the latest, you buy the Jordans and you buy the Nikes and you buy, but you never invest in those companies. So what is it that's keeping you on the consumer side, but preventing you from turning a dollar into these same companies that you're buying their goods? You're wearing Gucci, you're wearing Louis Vuitton, I mean, come on, you're wearing Tommy, fine, you're wearing Guess, you're wearing all these brand names. You got to invest on the other side, not just buying their goods. You can also earn and participate in the investment portfolio side. So think about that. And I'm just dropping these names because these are products. If you go to your house, what kind of refrigerator you have? LG. You have a Samsung. You have a whatever refrigerators you have there. Invest in the company that supplies the refrigerator. So that's the kind of mindset that I want to encourage for 2026. Whatever shoes you love to wear, find the company that's making that shoes, find their portfolio, find their stock, find a way to invest in that company so you can be rewarded for being a consumer, not just a consumer for life. Now, let's go into some other meat and potatoes. So we've covered several things here on 88.5 FM, The Beat, Smart Beat with Charlene, your host on the radio. Thank you all for tuning in live on 88.5 FM, The Beat, the Smart Beat. If you want to be a part of the conversation, it's hard for me to engage in answering the text messages and the calls and still do the show. So text me, and then the next show, I can probably include your conversation or bring you on as a guest. If you want to participate in my show, I'm open to having guests. I usually have guests, but to start off the year, I just want to kind of lay out the roadmap for this year. Here is the number to text if you want to join the conversation. 649-441-8805. Okay, so yeah, people, I will get back to you guys. 649-441-8805. I'll get back to you guys after the show. Okay, let me finish my thoughts on live on the radio here. 88.5 FM, The Beat. This is Charlene, your host, The Smart Beat on 88.5 FM. Right now, I want to talk about something that is very important. So the banks, they're all converging over, okay? The banks are converging over to this whole digital asset, this whole technology on the blockchain. So before we go into specific banks, I want to bring your attention to something that happened. Actually, this was several years ago. This isn't nothing new. So back in the year it was filed, this patent, the patent was registered June 12, 2012, but they filed this patent in 2009. Remember, I told you Bitcoin is 17 years old. It came out in 2008, October 31st, but the first Bitcoin currency was mined January 3 of 2009. So January 3, 2009, we're going to celebrate 17 years. That same year, March 18, so 3 months after the first Bitcoin came out, this USD mint, USD digital dollar called central bank digital currency was they applied for a patent. And that was in 2009, March 18 of 2009. So I'm going through a timeline with you. So if you have a pen and paper, if you're driving, please just take a mental pen and paper. Don't crash. Just listen. So Bitcoin, the first Bitcoin The technology was released 2008, October 31st. Then January 2009, January 3, the first Bitcoin was mined. Then the first central bank digital currency was created March of 2009. And they filed a patent in that same year. Now, 2011 was when they started using this central bank digital currency with other banks and different countries. And this was done in 2011. Then a year later, 2012, the patent was granted. So we have a patent number 4158063. So you can go and look up the patent for central bank digital currency issued 2012 on June 12th. So we're talking about 14 years ago. And we're talking about Bitcoin coming out 2017. I mean, 2009, so 17 years. Let me correct that. Bitcoin came out 17 years ago, and this central bank digital currency came out 14 years ago, back in 2012. Now, this is nothing new, but you're probably hearing about it for the first time. Now, let me break down what this patented US dollar digital currency really is. When the patent was issued on June 12, 2012, and it was incontestable, meaning the date it expires was 2018, they just renewed that patent again from 2018 for the next 10 years. So you take 2018, so all the way till 10 years will be 28, and then they have another renewal again for another 10 years. So this is happening, folks. The banks now have a global computer network that was issued back in 2012. Digital currency. It's a copy of the Bitcoin. Okay, so the banks, 3 months after the Bitcoin came out, ran like a madman and copied the code, the software, and created their own central bank digital currency back in 2009. And then they said they were doing a trial, and it's a sovereign ledger, that meaning that the US dollar is called USD Mint. So the coin is called USD Mint. That's the token they use. And the whole central bank digital currency has been in circulation. They are looking at the documents here for the patent. They have been trading between 609 different banks worldwide. They have traded more than about $500 billion has passed through the central bank digital currency since 2009 till now. We're 2026. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go and look up this patent. Central bank digital currency. It was so in 2020, in August of 2020, they just renewed for another 10 years. You understand? And this is currency has been circulating. Let me tell you some of the countries that have been using the central bank digital currency called the USD Mint. Some of the countries, some of the states include Hawaii. So this patent was originated out of the state of Hawaii. So when I lived in Hawaii, I was living in Hawaii when this digital currency came out in 2012, when the patent was issued. And I was doing my radio show there. I talked about it back in 2012 on my radio show. And now we're 2026 and people are still talking about thinking that it doesn't exist. So the US is drifting toward non-uniform currency trading arrangements, a system the society has disliked, right? So there's a lot of people that trade different currencies, all the currencies around the world, including Bitcoin. Now, the central bank of the United States wants to have one digital currency that all the other countries use. They don't want to tell people use Bitcoin. So what they did is they took a copy of the Bitcoin, and the Federal Reserve Bank in 2019, the president at the time was James Bullard of Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. He's the one that signed off on this global currency and issued the currency into the global system. So privately, they've been using a digital currency within the banks, right? Nobody's talked about that. This is the combination of the banks and the technology testing back in 2012, and now we're 2026. So 2026, all the banks now have the blockchain as their architecture underneath. So the monetary architecture is the central bank digital currency. It's a copy of the Bitcoin, but it's run by the bank, and it's called USD Mint, like the US dollar. They minted the US dollar as a digital currency. That patent was 2012, June 12th. Now, here is the description. In the architecture of the blockchain, the CBDC, this digital currency, central bank digital currency, is issued by the Central Bank of the United States. It's not some guy on YouTube creating another meme coin. This is the central bank digital currency from the bank in the United States, okay? It's in circulation now. And it is in the hands of all the banks. In the direct CBDC model of digital currency, the central bank handles all payments in real time. You know, like when you transfer money, they say your money will be available 5 to 10 days. That's the old system. So when you transfer money from Chase Bank to Wells Fargo, or you transfer money from the US to Turks and Caicos, or from Canada, there's always this length of time, number of days to settle that transaction. Now, the central bank digital currency that's been in circulation since 2012, it gives a real time. So you send the money today, just like you send Bitcoin today, within a few minutes, or you send, what do you use? MoneyGram, Western Union. They give you the money within minutes. You can basically go and get it right away. That is what's going to happen. And that's starting to happen. Like, if you have a bank account, say like with Chase or Robinhood, is a bank that I use, you can pay like a 3% or a 5% fee to send the money immediately. So they've been using this technology, but they charge you an extra money, like $10 or $25, or a percentage like 5 or 7%, to transmit your money immediately without waiting for it to settle. So the same way it can be there in minutes is the same way it can be there in minutes in real time, not waiting 5 to 7 days. So we're looking forward to this 5 to 7 days going away. Money is going to be settled instantly in real time within minutes. And that's going to be all retail banking. The hybrid CBDC model is what they've been using, where you can pay an extra fee to have your money right away, or you can wait the 5 to 7 days for it to go through the old system. But whichever one is being used now, it's being tokenized. Money is now being tokenized, and we're not printing money anymore. Let that sink in. So in 2020, when the technology for the retail central bank digital currency now is being widely used among many, many states and countries. I'm talking about like the Bahamas has been using this. They've been selling trade, casting light on the central bank digital currency. It's been in use and in circulation. It's not just a proposal. They're not just testing it now. It's already been tested, and this year 2026 is being rolled out. So the Federal Reserve, now we have President Trump is going to appoint a new leader, or a new chairperson for the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank, which is a private entity. Remember, the U.S. does not own the U.S. dollar. Okay? I keep telling you that. The US does not own the US dollar. The US dollar is owned by a Federal Reserve private bank. And that bank, the Federal Reserve, is a private bank, and they let everybody use the US dollar. Okay? So the US government, why everybody says, oh, the US is in debt, and trillions of dollars in debt, because the US dollar that the US government is using and everybody in the US is using, they're borrowing that money from the Federal Reserve Bank. You never ask yourself, how come the US is in so much debt if they own all this US dollars? They don't own it, folks. The Federal Reserve is a private central bank, and the feds, their product is to sell this currency, selling the US dollar, distributing the US dollar. Like in Turks and Caicos, we're using the US dollar here in Turks and Caicos, and that is just another product for the Federal Reserve. So here's what's happening now. The central bank money in electronic or digital currency is switching over from the paper money. And all the central banks, so like in Jamaica, they have a bank, their own central bank. They try to do their own coin. Nobody's going to trade with that coin. But the USD, the US dollar coin, is going to be traded alongside every country, alongside Bitcoin. So we're going to have two currencies that are digital currency that's going to be at the top of the food chain. We're going to have the US dollar digital currency from the central bank. It's called CBDC. And we're going to have Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin will be the one that is used globally with the people, most people. And the CBDC from the Federal Reserve is going to be the one that companies and corporations will be forced to use. I shouldn't say forced. They'll be enticed to use this digital currency, because I think what's going to happen when the new chairperson comes in is they're going to wipe out the US debt. All the money, debt in paper money is going to be wiped out, and they're going to issue a new currency, a central bank electronic money for all. I'm reading this. A lot of the stuff that I'm saying, I'm not saying, these are not my words. I'm actually reading from the document that is the central bank digital currency document that was patented back in 2012, and they've updated it in 2020 when they renewed the patent, and then I think last year they just updated it again. So here are the details. The central bank electronic money for all requires low administrative effort. All this need to be settling money and counting money, and they have this. You go to the bank, they have those counting machines. It counts the money. All of that stuff is going away. We believe that, I'm reading, quote, we believe that implementing central bank electronic money for all is straightforward, since those accounts can be used anywhere for making payments. No credit can be obtained, and also almost no monitoring is needed. You know why they don't need to monitor this? Everything is on the blockchain. You're looking at Bitcoin now, every single transaction, millions of transactions per second are being processed using Bitcoin, and nobody needs to monitor it because it's in the open. Your name is not attached directly, but the transactions, we can see the transactions. We can see them going from this account to that account, or this wallet to that wallet. So let me take a breather there. That's a lot for you to unpack. This is Charlene live on 88.5 FM, The Beat. And my show is The Smart Beat. And I'm here to help you catch up on all the things you've missed for the last 17 years. This is Bitcoin Conference January 2, 2026. I'm doing it live on the radio with each of you. Thank you for tuning in. Now, let me get some promotions in here. So, apart from Keika's Lifestyles with the private yacht, we also have one of our friends, Matt, at the Andes Resorts. They're selling high-end condos. Okay, the residences are at the Andes Resort. You can basically, if you have money to invest in real estate, investing in the hospitality industry, I mean, you can go run your own B&B, but if you invest in one of these privately owned condos at the Andes Resort, it's called the residences, then you can, they will book those condos for you when you're not there. So you don't have to necessarily live in the condo yourself. They can sublet them out for you through their program. And that's what a lot of the hotels, the high-end hotels now, you can buy a condo in these high-end hotels and these resorts, and they will sublet them out for you to other vacationers. So there are a lot of opportunities to invest for those who want to go that route. So call this number, text this number, and I'll give you the information, further information. Okay? 649-441-8805. Now, that's the local number in Turks and Caicos, 649-441-8805. Now, go onto the website, 885thebeat.com. 885thebeat.com. And you can see all our sponsors listed there. So the Andes Resort, they're selling condos. I think I talked with Matt, and he said they basically have only a few left. They have only a few condos, a lot of the best views. They have a few of the ones that have the best views. You're telling me, every single condo unit in the Andes project at the residences has a view, because they kind of did the resort, they built it on an angle. So it's like a triangle. So you see that slice of the triangle, all the condos are facing the ocean. So you'll see the ocean and the islands. Beautiful, beautiful development. And I think they're supposed to be opening soon. It's 2026. They're opening soon. I can't wait. They're almost done. I'm going to go and do the tour. Matt has promised me one of the most exclusive tours of the Andes Resort. So we're going to get back in that. But if you want to invest, you want to get a condo in the Caribbean, in the Turks and Caicos Islands, call or text 649-441-8805. You are listening to 88.5 FM, The Beat, with me, Charlene, The Smart Beat. That's the name of my show, The Smart Beat, where you learn about Bitcoin, crypto, AI, central bank digital currency, all the news. Bitcoin is still up there, trading right now at $90,328. $90,000 for Bitcoin. But like I said at the start of the show, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You could put $100, I think, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. You can now enter the crypto. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go out and download a wallet. Bitcoin and crypto are now integrated in the financial system. So all the banks are going to start rolling out Bitcoin wallets where you can just move your money either into cash, Bitcoin, or central bank digital currency. So you hear about countries trying to, put out their own coin, you don't need to do that, because guess what? The reliability of the central bank digital currency coming out of the USA, out of the Federal Reserve Bank, that is going to be what people are gravitating to. So there are going to be two giants. I'm not saying don't go and create your own coin. We've created our own coin here, 88.5 FM The Beat. I have a token. You can sign up on the website, 885thebeat.com, to earn tokens, digital currency tokens. Like radio, we're always giving away free t-shirts, free hats, free water bottles and stuff like that. You can earn tokens and trade them in for these perks and these merchandise. So all the merch on our website, you won't be able to buy them with regular cash or giveaways. You'll have to earn the token. So every time you tune in, every single day, I issue out 88.5 tokens and distribute that among all the listeners who've signed up. So if you sign up today, you'll start earning part of the 88.5 FM tokens, which you can convert for free t-shirts, hats, mugs, and so forth. So we're going to start do that. I rolled it out a few months ago, but now it's 2026. We're going to go full frontal with this. We're going to go max with the 88.5 FM token to all our viewers and listeners. So make sure you register. If you don't register, then you won't be in the pool. And like I said, every day, it's already set up. I don't have to do anything. It's not like I'm going in and issuing 88.5 tokens every day. It's already built into the blockchain. So every single day till we hit I think we hit 88.5 million. Once we hit 88.5 million tokens that have been issued, distributed to all of you listeners and viewers, then it's going to stop. And at that point, you guys can trade the tokens among each other. You can give it out, and people can stock it up and earn t-shirts, hats, and giveaways. And when we do our concerts and our radio station events, that's what you're going to have to as your entry, as your tickets. So the tokens that we issue at 88.5 FM would also be used. You can use them for when we do concerts or events or whatever we're doing. Radio stations always out there promoting, doing events, parties, concerts, and so forth. So make sure you go on to 885thebeat.com and register for free tokens. All right, I'm gonna wrap up the show. I know I gave you a lot to think about today. I covered, the basics of Bitcoin, that it's running on a blockchain. Next show, I'm gonna cover the 21 million, because that's one of the most important topics on the Bitcoin agenda, is the 21 million, and people are still not understanding. A lot of people don't get the 21 million, and the fact that we're already about 20 million, and they're thinking, oh, Bitcoin's going to run out. Bitcoin's not going to run out. The 21 million is the max supply, the supply. So what's going to happen is, now it's 90,000 for one Bitcoin, US dollar, right? But what's going to happen is Bitcoin can be broken down into very tiny, tiny fractions. So of that $90,000, you could be $9 in Bitcoin. You understand? You could put $90. You could put $100. You could put 10,000, whatever your budget is, if you're trying to get in or you want to stock up. What happens with the 21 million is separate from the ability to divide. The existing 20 million can be divided as many times as possible to infinity. So don't feel like, oh, I missed out on Bitcoin because it's 20 million and it's only 1 million left and I got to go trying to get part of that new. You don't have to get part of the new million that's still not yet mined. The existing supply of Bitcoin can be still divided. MicroStrategy, Tesla, all these big companies, Strive, Congo, Galaxy Digital, all these American Bitcoin corporation, that's the Trump. They just opened that, and they also invested in the other one, Meta Planet. These are the companies. GameStop, everybody knows about GameStop. GameStop has a bunch of Bitcoin. They're what, number 23 on the Bitcoin list. They have 4,700 Bitcoin. Now, if you know somebody, a friend, they probably have $100 worth of Bitcoin in a wallet somewhere. I have had so many wallets, I don't even know. I used to sign up for all these wallets over the last 10 years. I have wallets, actually, no, not 10 years, like 5 years. Now I've just been like, every time there's a free wallet and they give away free Bitcoins, I just sign up. But I have all these wallets that I don't even remember about that are on other phones. So I have Bitcoins stashed, little tiny bits, $10, $5 here or there, all over the place. So one day I hope to find them so I can put them all in one wallet and know exactly how much Bitcoin I might have, because I know over the years, so many wallets I have signed up for every promotion. I'm one of those person that, clipping coupons, looking for discounts, going in the clearance section. Yeah. So whenever there was like free Bitcoins, I would always sign up for the wallet. So they're out there somewhere. I'm not worried about it right now. I just want you to get in on the action. So this is Charlene live on 88.5 FM, the beat, the smart beat. Let me cover. I have one other thing to cover today. So besides the digital currency, besides the central banks coming online, the conclusion here is CBDCs is the next milestone in the evolution of money. I'm reading now from the CBDC patent document. The history of money is something we'll cover over the year. But while the basic functions of money doesn't change, you buy something, you use money for it, or you can trade, you give rice for chicken, you give flour for butter, whatever it is. Or you can use money to buy the flour, money to buy the rice, money to buy the chicken, money to buy the butter. That's the purpose of money, is to pay for something that you want, but you don't have something else to trade, or the person that has the flour doesn't want what you have. So you have to use some other intermediary value transfer to pay for things that you want. You pay for your phone bill, you want data, you want services, you pay with money. Now, this whole digitization is here. It's not coming, folks. It is here. Digitization in many aspects of our economic activities everywhere, and is a central bank control mechanism. We try to do it with Bitcoin. We try to bypass the CBDC. We try to bypass the banks. But the banks, like I said, they took a copy of the Bitcoin and created their own digital currency called central bank digital currency. The US dollar is minted already since 2012. They got the patent and they've been using it since March of 2009 alongside with the Bitcoin and testing it out among many, many different partners. Okay, now here are some of the partners. I'm going to wrap up this. I'm going to drop some names here, folks. I'm going to drop some of the names and the countries that have been using. Germany have been using this central bank digital currency. The United States, the United Kingdom. Some people are saying, "Oh, Satoshi invented the Bitcoin," and everybody's trying to figure out who Satoshi is. I beg you to really consider. Isn't it curious that in 2009, the Central Bank of the United States created their own digital coin from a copy of the Bitcoin? I think these people, so-called Satoshis, are involved in this digital currency, central bank digital currency too, because they know that what's going to happen. So this digital currency serves two purposes. It protects users. The government's always trying to protect users, so they realize, oh, people aren't afraid of Bitcoin anymore. And it provides a virtual currency within the structure of law, within the legal structure of banks, within the legal structures of security exchanges, within the structure of a private entity called the Federal Reserve Bank. The Federal Reserve Bank has been distributing this digital currency for 14 years now, since 2012. You heard it first here on 88.5 FM, The Beat, The Smart Beat with Charlene. And we are going to wrap the show. 88.5 FM, The Beat. We'll see you next show where we'll go into more technology. 88.5 FM, The Smart Beat. Charlene, peace out.